Oh, never mind. We just got put on Wario's gold mine. Okay, cool. Oh, dude, the kilometers per hour is in the bottom left now instead of the bottom right. That's actually perfect because it enables me to move my camera. Here, look. Check that shit out. It looks kind of awkward. I'll have to move the timer in a second. Very convenient and cool. Alright, now let's take care of... let's move you out of this. Move you on top of there. Then put you back in. Huh? Perfect. Perfect. That's great. So, let's now address the political elephant in the room. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump, former American president. Pretty nutso, gotta say. I'm kind of, part of me wants to be surprised that this happened at all, because America is in sort of an unprecedented situation of political apathy. And part of me wants to be surprised that it didn't happen sooner for how much politics has become more radicalized lately. In terms of, like, the Overton window shifting and expanding to fit, like, the increased amounts of social alienation and isolation that have been going on. And you can't go that way, okay. Yeah, makes sense. So let me first recount the details of the assassination attempt itself. And then I'll talk about the political implications it has, if any, right? So yesterday, it just happened yesterday, there was a rally in Pennsylvania, Trump rally. You know, a bunch of people were there, Trump was there. And there were a number of shots that rang out. A couple from a gunman on like a rooftop a little ways away. And then a number of those gunshots were obviously from the Secret Service people who shot the gunman. And the whole situation was handled pretty quickly. The details of the aftermath, I think there were a couple people. I'm in your game. I got third, by the way. TW Derp, welcome to chat. We know the topic already. Yeah, it's the topic in politics right now. Welcome to chat, TW Derp, and cool, good shit. The details of the aftermath is that there were a couple other people that were shot by the gunman. Very unfortunate for them. And I think one of them died. Another one was critically injured. You know, panic ensued. The Secret Service ended up finding out that the guy that did it was an individual by the name of Thomas Crooks? Thomas Crooks, that's right. The guy's name was Thomas Crooks, and they got him. They killed him, and all that. But that's as far as I wanted to talk about the logistical details. The logistical details of this don't actually matter that much. What I wanted to talk about was sort of the ideological driving forces behind it, and the political ramifications of an assassination attempt on a former president during the campaign cycle, and like the impact that could have on American politics, etc., right? This guy, Thomas Crooks, thank fuck for myself and every other queer person on the planet, was not a, like, mentally ill homosexual leftist or whatever. He was just a mentally ill, cis, white, libertarian dude. You know, kind of went down, it seems like the conspiracy rabbit hole or something. And of course, I'm not under any impression that, that's going to change much about what a lot of right-wing media outlets have to say. They're going to say he was a Democrat because he donated to Act Blue one time. I don't remember if links work because something unconfirmed popped up is very important. If it's unconfirmed, don't link it. Because then it's like, it might as well just be garbage. I'm operating off of purely confirmed information, right? This is, especially with Trump's immediate reaction to being, I think, clipped on the ear. He wasn't majorly hurt. Was like, the Secret Service literally went, "Get down, Mr. President," which was, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of funny. And then they, like, they escorted him off the stage. He did the, like, he pumped his fist at the crowd and whatever. And at this moment, myself and a lot of other people were kind of like, oh, it's fucking over. You know, Reagan-esque landslide incoming, which might happen, but I've been introduced to some other takes that suggest that maybe that wouldn't happen as well. We'll have to see. But obviously this is going to elicit some sympathy for Trump that wasn't previously present. The difference between Trump and Reagan is that Reagan was massively popular and Trump is not. Trump is very unpopular. And I don't think that's going to generally change as a result of this assassination attempt. This is going to resonate with Trump's base. It might even pull in some independents, but the people who didn't like Trump, good games, TWDR. The people who didn't like Trump before this assassination aren't suddenly going to be moved to like him now that the assassination attempt has happened, because the people that don't like Trump are for reasons mostly revolving around policy. I'm losing VR for a fourth. That's the high VR life. And remember, VR is just a number. Skill issue, TBH? Yeah, it's an issue of him having too high skill. Or alternatively, it's an issue of thinking that VR indicates skill when in fact there are many, many low VR players that are way more skilled than the VR would indicate. Let's do Wario Shipyard. I like that track. What people don't realize is right ear probably temporarily went deaf because, you know, a fucking gunshot went next to his ear. All indications are that he wasn't nicked by the bullet, rather he was nicked by, like, a shard of glass or something from a teleprompter. Either way, it doesn't really matter what he was hit with, because he was kind of grazed and he was fine. So it, like, now we're kind of in just a similar situation to, you know, before this all started. I don't know, either Trump wins or he doesn't. Given the sort of general unpopularity of Trump, I don't think this assassination is going to result in him gaining, like, oodles and oodles of sympathy. But, you know, it's possible that, like, this is just one more contributing factor to Trump winning the election, you know, especially because after the news of this dropped, the Democratic Party, like, used this to say that, like, oh, yeah, in this trying time, we're not going to replace Biden or whatever, which is not at all related, but, you know, the Democratic Party was kind of looks for excuses to not do stuff, so this was just, like, one more excuse for them. But you know, all in all, as much as I hate liberals, the involvement of the Democratic Party in anything regarding this is very minimal. You know, very, very minimal. We can easily predict Trump gains percentage from this. Yes, and undoubtedly he will. But if polling data from the past indicates anything, the percentage gain that Trump will get from this incident will be small and not sustained. Ronald Reagan, when he was shot, gained popularity on the order of about 5%, and that faded after about 3 months. Now, like I said, circumstances now are different from then, so it's possible Trump benefits more from this and for longer, or it's possible he benefits less and for less of an amount of time. You know? Either one of such scenarios could happen. But, you know, I don't want to waffle too much. Ultimately, what, like, it's kind of weird to me how little of an impact an assassination attempt like this tends to have, right? Because it's just one incident. In terms of the election itself, it's not going to be as substantial because it's not like Trump supporters can vote twice. Top 2? Hey, nice. Yeah, yeah. I think more than anything, what signals to me that it's kind of Jover is not the assassination attempt itself, but rather that the in the wake of it, the Democrats decided to double down on having Joe Biden as the nominee. And so I think, like, not from the assassination, but from associated factors, we can sort of predict a Trump presidency from 2025 through, well, whenever. He's already said he's going to revoke certain parts of the Constitution, and he's not going to obey democratic norms, etc. Wow, +7. Yeah. Look, this is a low VR room. You're not going to be getting those big numbers. You got to be out there playing for the love of the game. Is there much else? You know, there doesn't seem, to me, there's not much to say about the assassination itself, or the assassination attempt itself. There are a lot of, I will say this, there are a lot of people invoking civility politics. In fact, it's a very normie take, and it's a brain-dead take, to say that, like, oh, this isn't what America is about, political violence, you know, has no place in American politics. Motherfucker, all politics is violence. It's very frustrating because I know that, like, that's the street level engagement with politics that most people have, but it's also one of the stupidest takes to have, and that attitude is in fact what produced the climate in which this assassination took place. The hallmark of a centrist liberal mindset is civility politics, and that civility politics liberalism produced the alienation that produced people who are crazy enough to try and assassinate a former president, if that makes sense, right? Like, the guy that went up there, younger than me, by the way, the guy that tried to assassinate Trump was not in like any sort of right-minded mental state, you know? And the reason for that is because of, like, political disaffection and you know, disillusionment that has been fueled by, like, heavily socially alienating norms and, like, economic stagnation, social stagnation, isolation ever since COVID, and as a result of various factors relating to the internet and whatever. And that's one of the reasons I say I'm kind of surprised that this hadn't happened sooner. But also that, like, the centrist liberalism that sort of puts people to sleep, proverbially speaking, also generates apathy. So on another level, I'm kind of surprised that it happened at all. Unrelated, but the guy looked like a Discord trial mod. Yeah, he was a 4chan user. I'm not joking, by the way. He was very active on 4chan, which is typical because that's where all, like, politically tangential mental illness on the internet goes at some point or another. Imagine. Okay. I guess I win. But that's sort of the circumstances that produced the guy that attempted this assassination. The other thing I wanted to mention is that violence is a constant part of politics. Did he hit his own forward thrown green? He might have hit my green. I think there was a I think I dropped one last time. But anyways, what I was gonna say, to all the people who are saying, like, political violence has no place in America and whatever, this is unheard of, doing this sort of pearl clutching bit, these people have no idea what they're talking about. Because political violence is literally constant across all political systems. Politics, as a concept, is dominated by violence. Without violence, soft or hard, real or implied, you don't have politics, because politics is a matter of resource distribution and basically getting other people to do things that they might not have been willing to otherwise. Hybrid is harder, but I wouldn't say worse. No, I think it's worse. You have to wheelie a lot, and hybrid makes your wheelies way... But authoritarianism is bad, and that's not always, like, inherent to politics. It's possible to have not authoritarian political systems. What I'm saying is, like, you basically can't have society without some level of, like, coercion or implied violence, like threat of violence. Ah, dang. And that violence is just invisible. People just get really upsetty spaghetti when the violence is visible, when they can see it for once, right? This assassination attempt, for all intents and purposes, is one of the less bad versions of political violence in America. Still bad, obviously. All political violence is bad. But you consider the fact that, like, it is a quotidian and routine form of violence that police arrest, like, thousands upon thousands of people every year for petty crimes, you know, stuff that isn't even, like, might not even be deserving of, like, throwing people's life away in prison. You consider that people die, like, from lack of access to things like healthcare, which could be easily provided for free or whatever. You know, that kind of violence is the violence that I am thinking of when I think of political violence. But most people don't understand that as violence, because for a lot of people, violence has to be visible and spectacular. Violence is just anything that hurts people and makes their life worse, which politics is defined by. Wouldn't say sounds like an endorsement of authoritarianism. Wouldn't say it's an endorsement, it's more like an acknowledgement. Yeah, I think it's worth acknowledging that, like, political violence is part of every single political system that we have ever had and ever will have, just to varying degrees. And with regards to assassinations specifically, people are also talking out of their ass because America has been fucking marred with various assassination attempts on high-level politicians. You know, not but 50, 60 years ago, people in America were getting assassinated left and right. You know, as you think about Kennedy, you think about, like, Gerald Ford, one of the least memorable presidents in American history, was even, like, had an attempt made on his life. And then obviously Reagan. Haven't 6 assassinations succeeded? Something like that, yeah. Who was it? One of the presidents whose name I have a hard time remembering. Well, I remember a lot of presidents' names, like, is it Tyler Buchanan, maybe? There have been, no, McKinley. I know McKinley was assassinated. Many presidents in American history have been assassinated, and many more politicians who aren't presidents in American history have been assassinated. People are being assassinated, you know, having attempts made on their lives in Europe. It's a normal part of politics that is especially normal in America. It just happened to happen to Trump. Does that make it good? No, obviously not. This is just an acknowledgement of people, like, freaking out when it's really not warranted. Most notable thing is that the first close attempt since Reagan, and many people haven't lived through that. That's true. Social memory is very short. I will say that much. This is kind of an explainer for why people react to things in such pearl clutchy ways. Is, yeah, you know, the social memory is very short, and there weren't a lot of people who had, you know, that Reagan assassination attempt in living memory. Never forget when Bush was attacked with a shoe. You know what's the fucking crazy part? The guy that photographed that was also one of the photographers who photographed the assassination attempt at the Trump rally. Like, the same photographer was at both places, 20 years apart. That guy is gonna have a fucking resume, let me tell you. You know, political photography, like, is a veritable field. Check his alibi, bro. He took photos of it. That means he couldn't have shot him. Lol W, are we sure? We're never sure of anything. You could be a brain in a vat for all you know. You operate off of the information you have. Gonna be honest, an assassination attempt of the president should be freaked out about. I mean, yeah, but not to the extent, like, it's kind of a freak out in the moment, but the way that liberal media outlets have been handling this has been really, really dumb. You know, they're acting like this hasn't like it wasn't even thinkable that this could happen. You know? I think Laura was a white boy. Can you imagine what would happen if it was a black trans Mexican? Yeah, I think I mentioned that earlier. Could you imagine, like, if the person who tried to assassinate Trump turned out to have been like a trans cat girl or whatever, like communist trans cat girl, it would have been fucking over. They would have been like making the fucking death camps already, you know? Yeah, this assassination attempt actually matters, thankfully, fucking less than I thought it would. Yeah, the assassination attempt, as flashy as it was, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that enabling of fucking of the fucking Republican Party. Precisely because we dodged the bullet, and it, in the sense that like the shooter was a like right-wing libertarian conspiracy nut, you know? Which in a way is like less political than the average American, you know? Like, the shooting seems to be motivated more so by mental illness than like steady ideological convictions, you know? If it were, even though the Republican Party and their affiliated media outlets are going to say the same things about the shooter that they probably would have otherwise, they're not going to have as easy a time constructing a narrative. One of the things that they would get is easy justification of a like insane narrative if the shooter was like left wing in some capacity. But since they weren't, they don't have like that coordinated line. They don't have a lot of coordinated lines to go to. My theory is that the shooter is just committing a JFK assassin with the fucking I just wanted to BS. Maybe. That's certainly possible. Yeah, I was going to mention that. A lot of what's weird about assassins through American history is they seem to be less ideologically motivated than a lot of other like political actors or even political extremists have been. And I think that's fundamentally because they understand that assassinations is really fucking, like, they're really fucking bad for if you're doing them for a political cause. And like, if you're a career political activist, you tend to have to focus on things that are optically beneficial and effective for your movement. Assassination attempts are neither of those things, right? It's like, there's a French diplomat who I have quoted before, and I will quote them again. It is worse than a crime, it is a mistake, you know? It's one of those situations where attempting it and then not succeeding does nothing but hurt your cause, and even if you succeed, it doesn't help. Right? That's the sort of the optical considerations that go into people's decisions to take radical, extreme action like this. Trumpy Wumpy got pew-pewed? Yeah, that's true. I think that this is still, like, bad, because it's like they missed in just the right way to make Trump look good. Like, which is by accident. I'm not going to, like, allege that this was a false flag or anything, because there's no evidence for that. But it was, like, really the only thing that's saving queer people from the fucking gulags is the fact that this, the guy that did this was a, libertarian nut. Yeah. We'll see if this assassination has any wide-ranging political consequences. You followed me lap 2? Oh, yeah, okay. I got you. I don't know if it will. Honestly, like, because what FNAF Freddy's Black Bruh said about, like, the assassins being having like almost apolitical I want to be famous motivations, and because of the other things that would prevent actual, like, ideologically motivated people from doing things like assassinations, I don't think this is going to... It's not gonna matter so much. It matters still. You know, Trump is going to get a significant boost in sympathy. But like I said, I don't know that it's going to last for that long. You know. And with any luck, that will mitigate the damage that the Republican Party will be able to do following the election. One effect that I'm almost positive this is going to have is that the Republicans are going to, like, win the election. Like, Trump is going to win, the Republicans might even take the Senate or whatever, which is not going to be good. You know, but if the situation were worse, if the assassination were, like, clear cut, it was like a queer leftist that did this, then fully we would be in, like, death camp territory. But yeah, end of the day, assassinations happen. They are something to freak out over, but they're also not something to freak out over. At least not in the way that a lot of media outlets love to freak out over shit. Because it's like, oh no, we're better than this. No, we're not. Humanity has literally never been better than this. We never will be better than this. This is just how politics works. Politics is loaded with violence. Sometimes it's more spectacular than other times. But, like, we're not getting around that. And I guess, like, brace for impact. Republican victory possibly incoming, since this seems to have had the effect of, like, making a lot of centrists retreat into the status quo even further as a sort of effort to play to civility. Got him. Hello, Michael IDK. Welcome to chat. Yeah, for those, for 1v3 and also for Michael IDK, I guess, I was talking about the assassination attempt on Trump. But there's, like, shockingly, there's actually not that much to say about the event itself. It's more about, like, more of what I had to say was about, like, the surrounding circumstances and why shit like this happens and, like, whether or not it meaningfully affects anything, you know? Dude, I've been in a star for so much of this race. Ow. Been the only story here in the UK all day. Yeah, it's been the only story in a lot of places, because it's like, this isn't very common, even though it's like, it's part of politics, it's just not, like, yay. Second place. Mom and I said to each other, even though it's bad to wish for Trump to die, it would be really good for the world future as a whole, really. Yeah, I think it would be, because, and not for the reason that people think, right? A lot of liberals make the mistake of engaging in what's called fascism in one man theory, which is basically, they sort of condense the issue of the far right. 20 seconds later, I starred you, you starred me back. Justice, instant karma, yes. A lot of liberals make the mistake of engaging in fascism in one man theory, which is functionally the idea that without Trump, there is no fascism in America. Like, all the fascism in America is Trump's fault. Fundamentally, that's not real. What is real, though, is that Trump is a populist Riz Lord in the same way that a car salesman is a Riz Lord. You know, they're trying to sell you up on a car that doesn't work, right? They're lying to you, but they have Riz. And they're, you know, that makes people kind of want to be around them. If Trump weren't around, the Republican Party would be Rizless. They would have terminally low supplies of Riz. And that's not good for them. But that's a hypothetical, because Trump did not get seriously hurt, and he's still here to do his thing. You know, and yeah, I think that would be better for the world as a whole. But, like, not gonna Fed post over it, not gonna, like, actively wish for anybody to be assassinated, especially because assassinations are really dumb. Like, they're just so dumb and like inadvisable, because they attract all the negative attention in the world over a crime that will get you on TV for the next several weeks of the news cycle, which I guess is you know, the motivating factor for some people. They want to be famous and all that. But, you know, things could have gone better. Obviously, the ideal scenario is for this to have not happened at all, you know, like for Trump to have just not been assassinated, because even as Rizless as the Republican Party is, they would have been very easily able to turn Trump into a martyr, which would have, even if it didn't get them many new supporters, it would have energized the support that they had, you know. I'm playing a dangerous game here. It's good to get more people. It's not good to yeah. I think I get what you're saying. The one thing, if nothing else, the silver lining is that I'm happy it wasn't like a deranged queer leftist that did this, you know? I'm happy basically that it wasn't one of ours. You know? Because if that were the case, then it would have been so, like, such an easy justification for the GOP to start, like, enacting an exterminationist platform against queer people and, you know, the queer community. But it was actually, it was a, you know, kind of a libertarian conspiracy theorist type, which is surprisingly about as apolitical of political extremism as you can get, especially in America. Like, it's a pretty ubiquitous position that a lot of people don't like the government. Wasn't it a registered Republican? Yes, it was, in fact. It was, this guy was registered as a Republican, had voted Republican in, I think, the midterms or whatever. You know, which means that even though, like, obviously a lot of right-wing news outlets are going to write, oh, this was a crazy leftist anyway, like, they're going to say that no matter what, but now they at least don't have the evidence for that, so they're going to be way less successful at manufacturing a cohesive narrative around it. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm dead. Assassination was some of the least politically motivated things, which is odd. Yeah, it is very odd, but it does tend to be the case that, like, assassinations are some of the least politically motivated political acts in history. More often, the more politically motivated things tend to be strikes, riots, sit-ins, that sort of stuff. Mass action that does property damage, but doesn't necessarily, like, target any specific individual, right? Even like, far-right riots where they target groups of people, they're not necessarily targeting, like, a public figure specifically, you know? Because, you know, this is not... great man theory isn't real. If the registered Republican voted to Chris Christie, the anti-Trump candidate, it would be more understandable to say he's a Dem or some shit. Yeah, I mean, they could still stretch to do something like that, but it's not really going to stick all that well. This is the most fun I've had on this game, lol. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun, too. Oh, no, he got hit by a rock. No, oh! I didn't know that could happen. Retro Rewind beat CCGP's highest player count recently. So I saw. In fact, I had looked at the CCGP player count, and regrettably, it seems that not that many people are have been playing CCGP, which is a shame. I'm assuming you know what a rhino is, right? Yeah, and that doesn't exist. Republicans have entirely coalesced behind Trump. Rhino is not a meaningful political label. Rhinos voted with Trump more often than most Trump Republicans did. You know what? I think I'm gonna close out most of the talk about the assassination attempt on Trump by like saying I think this in some way kind of cemented my prediction, but I think we are in a way we're in the sunset days of the Weimar Republic, or at least the American analog, the American equivalent of that. I think the Republicans are going to, as a result of a few different things, the Republicans are going to have a pretty, well, maybe not a massive resounding victory, but it will be a victory for them in the 2024 elections. And the U.S. is going to do the whole song and dance with the far right for a good amount of time, kind of like Germany did during World War II. Maybe it'll be not as bad. We'll see. But it is only going to be temporary. It's just, this is just like a buckle up and prepare kind of moment. But not necessarily because of the assassination attempt itself. That is just like one surprisingly small component of a lot of different things that make me think this. Oh no. Thanks for watching, and support the channel if you would be so kind.